All right, guys, here with Unicorn to talk about his team. This is what I mean. I've been looking forward to talking to everybody, but your team is in such a unique spot that I've been really looking forward to having this conversation because I feel like no matter how you answer any of like the team building directional questions, you're not wrong, which is a great place to be in. And I'm also excited to look at how the league kind of ranked you because it is another interesting one to unpack. Some of these have been, like the one with Nate, which was just kind of not very good. And when Code and I talked about my team, my results weren't very good. But yours is, one of these interesting ones versus everybody thinks you're in the playoffs or everybody thinks you're not in the playoffs or whatever that looks like. So we'll get right to it. Oh, before we do that though, how's everything been in your off season? Have you completely unplugged from football and done other things, or still in the loop and anything exciting going on up all the way up
Yeah,
there?
the last month has probably been like the least plugged in I've been. Kind of just leading up. I knew there's kind of that break between, the draft stuff and the training camp stuff. So
Yeah,
you kind of noticed that in the chats too. There's a little bit less day-to-day chatting going on, and it's kind of nice to have a little break because even in the winter, it's like, oh, the draft's coming up.
yeah.
Looking forward
That's
to that stuff. So it's good.
and not only I feel like things happen so quick and they're so short in the off season. Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden free agency's here and then it's done after 2 days because they already worked out contracts. And then you get to the draft and it's like, oh, it's cool, and then it's done. And then rookie mini camp, and then it's done. It just seems like it comes and goes so quick. I'm happy we're now in the preseason, but to me, preseason is like you get excited to watch it. You watch a quarter and you're like, why am I wasting my time? And then you kind of keep going. Did you watch the Hall of Fame game yesterday or no?
I don't watch much preseason. Sometimes the last game is a little more relevant, but the start most of the starters aren't starting. There's maybe a couple interesting rookies, but
Yeah,
I mean when Trey Lance is throwing to whoever,
the
it's
Joe
not
Mama.
real.
Yeah, going on. I feel I want to go back and look at highlights, but I also did not touch or look at anything. So, um, I'm curious, but not enough to sit down and watch it. I think I told you before, but like I had some friends coming and I was like, oh, if the game starts at 7, that's perfect because they were getting here at 7:30, and it started at 8, and I was like, well, guess I'm not watching the game then. Oh well, like what? Moving on with my life. Um, all right, so I kind of tease this a bit to you, but it's interesting to take a look at. Do you have any theories on kind of where your rank in the league is in comparison, or in the minds of the rest of the league?
Yeah, I have no idea because I don't really have a strong opinion either. Like I know I'm kind of in the middle, and that's kind of why I made the moves that I made. I kind of looked at the top and was like, you know what? I'm not one of the top three teams. I think I've got some good pieces, but let's not let's give myself some options just in case.
Yeah, the
So
flexibility of it and some of the liquidity. Yeah, I mean that Lamar one was a blockbuster.
yeah,
It kind of came out of nowhere, especially going to an old division rival who's a new division rival. But I like it when you look at it from obviously Flint's perspective of desperately needing a real quarterback, and then your
yeah,
perspective of give me the optionality here. And I think the league kind of fits right in with exactly what you're saying. 6 teams saying you're in second place in your division, 6 teams saying you're in third, which to me is like, well, he could be this, and he could be that, but we just don't know. And I've kind of, as I've done these conversations, I'm usually going piece by piece and saying, well, let's guess this now. Let's guess this. I'm going to kind of skip toilet bowl and playoffs. So 0 teams saying you're for sure in the toilet bowl, but only two teams saying you're for sure in the playoffs, and that just speaks to this the range of outcomes that your team has is absolutely insane. I feel like
yeah.
if you ended up in the toilet bowl, you blow through it, no questions. If you end up in the extra pick bracket, you probably win that, or you're insanely competitive in that. But then if you're in playoffs, you definitely could win some and get some like weeks here if you got the right matchup and all that. But it's not as dominant as maybe the history has been with where your team is at. Does that make it kind of weird? Because I would say up until this moment, you've been a top 3 team in everybody's heads since the beginning of time in the last 3 years. does this put you in like a not an uncomfortable position, right? But does this put you in a new weird position since this league is so unique, or is it not even matter to you right now?
There's a lot of questions there,
Sorry,
but no,
yeah, I do that.
it's kind of a fun position to be in, like because you know you see this split between second and third, and I can't disagree with that. I also think that you know I could win that division. Like if everything goes right, I could easily win that. Maybe not, I could win that division. You know, I've got a lot of probably I would say high variance players that if they hit the mid range or high end of their outcomes, it could go well. If they hit the mid and low range of those outcomes, I will be selling off the other pieces, kind of thing. So
Right.
um, it's it should be fun. You know, if things are going well, I can trade the couple of firsts I have and you know make a push for it, or like I said, vice versa. You know, I've got guys like Kittle and Metcalf and Tyreek Hill and Alvin Kamara that I think are still valuable trade assets if I
Yeah.
choose to, you know, to go the other route. So
And that's what I was just about to say is, there's, we talked, like, not to pick on me, Nate, and Vic, but like the three of us are just, we suck. We know we suck. And all three of us in our interviews that the league has seen by now, I know it's far and new, but the league has seen by now, all three of us are basically saying anybody's open, like come get them. And we're like,
yeah,
we'll take them for a third. Whereas it feels like the pieces that you could move on from, you just mentioned Tyreek, DK Metcalf, Justin Fields, if he's playing well for fantasy, but not the NFL, and it looks like
yeah,
they're not going to hold on to him for a little bit longer. Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Kittle, Sam Darnold, like there are real good pieces here that people are trading firsts for in other leagues to have on their team. That you really have the ability to, maybe they don't get so much of a first depending on what the contract looks like, but that's when you're like, I'll cover half the contract because this year I don't care anymore. And it really gives you some optionality in terms of what you want to do from here on out. And it's going to be really interesting. And to your point, if they hit their spike weeks, 2 years ago, any of those names you could say this player put up 35 points. Kamara put up 35. Tyreek put up 35. DK put up 35. Kittle put up, and I was just like, yeah, no, that sounds about right. So it's just there's a lot of paying attention for the first couple of weeks and then trying to figure out what the right move is for you. It's going to be fun.
yeah,
Championship
exactly.
predictions. You think, or how many votes you think you got for a championship? Again, as a reminder, it's people saying that you'll be in the championship versus somebody else. Not that you'll win the whole thing necessarily, but you versus somebody else. Do you think you got any votes here?
Assume not, but I actually don't remember what I voted for, so maybe that was me. I don't know.
You
I don't,
did get one. I can go pull up and see if you voted for yourself or it was somebody else that voted. And please hold. Let's see. Did you
it
vote
had
for
to have been
yourself or
myself. I
not?
don't know who else would have.
You did not vote for yourself. Somebody
Perfect. Okay.
is a believer.
Good for them.
You
Love
voted for two other teams that also received a lot of votes for the championship. But yeah, so someone out there is a Kung Fu Pandas believer and believes that you can do it, which kind of fits in with what you've done in the past with the success you've had. So someone believing in you even more than you believe in yourself, which I could use that any day of the week.
exactly.
What is have you as we sit here and you're 50-50, have you really started to lean one way or another way in terms of really pulling out or really pushing in? The Lamar trade, as you mentioned already, is a step in that direction, but you didn't sell out. You still have Dak, you still have Sam Darnold, you still have Justin Fields, so your quarterback room is still in a really good spot. Have you done any more thinking in terms of whether you're going to go one way or the other way or lean in one way, or do you think it's more just based off how the season goes?
Yeah, it's gonna 100% be how the season goes. You know, when I'm 4 weeks into the season, am I, you know, what's the record look like? What are the injuries for myself and other teams, and see what's out there for sure. So
Do you have Flynn as your main like division rival? Do you think that Allen poses a threat there with the Delhi? I mean, we know that Nate kind of isn't, since he's kind of openly declared that he's not planning on it. But do you think it's like a 2-horse race between you and Flynn? And if you kind of win that matchup in week 2 or 3, it's the sky's the limit, or is Allen just as
Yeah,
much
I
of a
think
threat?
I think it's probably a three horse race depending on injuries and stuff. You know, Allen's team is
Sure.
pretty good. Flynn's got some question marks at certain positions. He's got a lot of depth in some areas and not much. I don't think he has much in the way of running back, so I don't know if he'll try to address that. You know, with the Judkins thing, it's a bit iffy, but yeah.
Let's pull up. Why does this thing? There it is. So here's Flynn's team. Yeah, the Judkins thing is scary. I just saw Judkins go. This happened an hour ago, so not even. Let me pull it up. I can actually see it on the screen. 2 hours ago. Okay. Judkins for Aaron Jones, Debo Samuel, and a 26th third.
Oh, wow.
You go Judkins, right? Like, don't you kind of
I
have
go
to?
easy Judkins there. Yeah, I'll take the risk for those guys. Those aren't going to be difference, long-term difference makers anyway.
Yeah. I saw that trade and was like, man, I need a message from Judkins owners and just kind of see what's going on there. But you're right. I mean, his wide receiver room's incredibly good and young, depending on how Godwin comes back, and Devonta Smith he picked up for cheap from me at BTJ Bowers. But I mean, you look at the other running backs. I heard Gibbs is just blowing away Montgomery at camp. I don't know if you've heard any of that as well.
No, they're going to use. Well, I assume they're going to use both of them. I guess different OC, but Gibbs can only take so much of the workload anyway. But.
Yeah. His third best running back looks like it's Devin Singletary.
Bigsby, I don't know who else.
Or Miller. Yeah. No, I didn't realize how weak the running back room was there. Yeah. I mean, we knew that he's got the depth at quarterback just from the plethora of mid guys, and his wide receiver room is incredible and young. I didn't and Bowers obviously, right, is incredible. I did not realize kind of how much of a gap there is at the running back room, and that kind of shows how in tune you are with I guess having to deal with Flynn for 3 years and then having to deal with him for 3 more kind of coming up here. What do you define success as for your season? And I know that that's probably a tough question based off of the conversation that we've had so far, but if you can answer that question, what do you think that answer would be?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of just the same theme is that it really depends. You know, if I make the playoffs, I mean, I think I have to make the championship for it to be success. Like if I go for it, I've got to make it to the finals for it to be considered, quote unquote, a success.
Yeah.
And if I don't, then it's got to be picking up either the extra pick or the overall pick. Depending on I at this point I'm not intending to be in the bottom 4.
Right.
But anything can happen, right? So
yeah,
it depends on whichever path I decide to take, and that's kind of what it would look like. So.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this before in conversations with other people in the league. I think I might have mentioned on an interview earlier this week is that so we've got Vic, Nate, and I who are like this season's already over and it hasn't started yet. Rick has kind of said that his team, he expects to be in the toilet bowl, but he's going to continue to play and see how it goes. But the other 8.5, considering Rick the half, all are like, I'm in the playoffs. And so I do think that there could be some power in being the first one to pull the chips out and say, I'll be the toilet bowl team. Because whichever team that is just runs through the other 3 teams that are in the toilet bowl. I think I was talking with Vic about it. I was like, the all-star team of me, Nick, and Nate, and Vic would get crushed by any other team starting lineup. And so I think that whoever that other team is in the toilet bowl does get a free pass basically to the 101. But you also have to imagine that whichever team that is disappointed because they started the season with playoff either hopes or expectations, depending on which word you want to use there. So it'll be an interesting pathway to see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. And you make a good point about the person to pull their chips out because really in reality there's only so many first round picks that that are available for trade, whether it's, depending on who it is, or the teams that are making moves, right? And once they're gone, what else are you going to trade for? I mean, it's okay to collect seconds and thirds, but when you're trying to win either an extra pick or the toilet bowl, like, you need those players too. So maybe it's not even worth it to trade for those lower value picks. But
Yeah. And this is my bi-monthly plug for the trade deadline too. Like the value of the trade deadline. Is it worth it to send this guy away for a third when that third or when that player might push you over the edge from 104 to 103, from fourth place to third place, from not winning the extra pick to winning the extra pick, because even though you might get a third for just looking at Flynn's roster because it's up. Let's pretend that Singletary takes over the Giants' backfield somehow. Jesus Christ, what a world!
that would not be good for me.
Yeah, so let's pretend that that's what happens. Is it worth it to send him away for a third, or does it not make sense to do that, because that can obviously, I think a third is worth more than Devin Singletary, but you wouldn't do a third in 104 to move up to 103, right? So it's just, I think the trade deadline almost, in my opinion, every single year at the trade deadline, everybody should be a buyer and everybody should be a seller, because there's some weird valuations depending on what the contract looks like, what a re-sign would look like, and all those different things. And who knows if maybe Flynn will sell Trey Lance after his showing last night, his 18th quarterback, 29 on the roster. Any final thoughts? Anything else you want to talk about or brush over before we kind of wrap this thing up?
No, I hadn't really thought in too much detail. I'm enjoying watching the videos so far. Only two down as of this recording. Not to kind of spoil it for other people when things are recorded, but I'm just looking forward to real football in a
Amen.
month and a couple days till the season opener there. So
yeah, I can't wait. How do you think the Packers are going to do? I had lots of Packer conversations with Morgan a second ago and Nate a couple yesterday. How are you feeling about the Packers this year?
optimistic. Yeah, I mean, I think if Love can stay healthy, I think he was more injured early in the season last year that they kind of let on, and I mean, I don't think they're kind of versus the AFC, maybe not the favorites or anything, or the top teams in the NFC, but I think they'll compete in that division, and which could be a kind of a fun division to watch this year too. So
Yeah, yeah, that division is going to be. I mean, it's definitely the best in football. I'm curious to see if it kind of sticks that way. I think the Lions losing both the OC and DC makes things a lot harder than people give it credit for. You've got a rookie in Minnesota. Who knows about Caleb Williams? And there's a new coaching regime there. The Packers are the only team that has stayed steady, and so I think that gives you guys a huge advantage, at least in that division. And to your point, the NFC is miles. I'll say miles worse than the AFC, but like I was talking with Code about this. I think it was in our recording, either mine or his, or just offline. But like, thank God in the NFC we don't have to go through Burrow and Mahomes and Lamar and Allen. Like, it's
it's
so much.
top few teams.
Yeah, it's so much
It's
nicer over here that if you make it to the dance, you play one versus, you know, just the AFC playoff bracket. You look at the starting 7 quarterbacks, you're like, oh my God, just it's brutal over there. So very happy to be in the NFC. Very happy.
Yeah,
All right.
agreed.
Well, that'll do it for us. Thank you for taking the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.